The biggest sporting event in human history is 6 weeks away. It is being hosted in 11 American cities from Boston to Los Angeles. It was supposed to be Donald Trump's crowning moment of cultural and economic triumph on the world stage. Instead, hotel rooms are going empty in Dallas and Miami. International fan bookings are running well below what the industry projected. Fans from 39 countries face travel bans that bar most of them from entering the United States. Iran, one of the 48 qualified teams, is in an active war with the United States and is still debating whether to send its players into the country that has been bombing their homeland. A close Trump ally proposed replacing Iran with Italy, a team that did not qualify, and the head of ICE refused to promise Congress he would not conduct immigration raids inside the stadiums during the games. This is the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and it is one of the most chaotic, politically charged, and economically uncertain sporting events America has ever agreed to host. The 2026 FIFA World Cup begins June 11th and runs through July 19th. It is the first World Cup to feature 48 teams instead of 32, meaning 104 matches total, more than any tournament in history. It is being co-hosted across 16 host cities in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. American host cities include Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Seattle, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Boston, Kansas City, Miami, and New York and New Jersey. The United States is hosting the vast majority of matches, including the final. FIFA projected the tournament would generate up to $47.7 billion in economic output for the United States alone. Trump has claimed it as his legacy. FIFA President Gianni Infantino handed Trump the inaugural FIFA Peace Prize in December 2025 and has remained closely aligned with the administration throughout the buildup. This was supposed to be a victory lap. It is not looking like a victory lap. With less than 2 months before the start of the World Cup, there are signs that demand is running below expectations, raising questions about whether the tournament might not be quite the resounding success many had anticipated. Hotels are reporting bookings are not running as high as the industry expected. The hospitality industry is not seeing the number of bookings from overseas travelers it had projected. Market research shows hotels slashing room rates in cities like Dallas, Kansas City, Miami, Atlanta, and San Francisco. Average advertised room rates in Dallas, for example, peaked at $387 a night about 6 months out from the games and dropped to $250 a night by late April. FIFA itself dealt a blow to the industry by canceling thousands of room bookings for staff, media organizations, athletes, and sponsors in host cities, including Philadelphia, Atlanta, Toronto, Vancouver, and Mexico City. The reasons for this slower-than-expected uptake are multiple and interconnected, and most of them trace back to one source. The Trump administration's travel bans have created the most significant access problem in World Cup history. On June 4, 2025, Trump issued a proclamation restricting the entry of nationals from 19 countries, mostly from the Middle East and Africa. On December 16, 2025, the administration expanded the list to 39 nations. Fans from each of those 39 countries are largely unable to attend any games hosted in the United States. Players and team officials received exemptions, but the fans themselves are blocked. 4 of the 48 qualified teams come from countries on the travel ban list: Iran, Haiti, Senegal, and Ivory Coast. Haiti qualified for the tournament for the first time in over 50 years, yet due to the travel ban, most fans from the island will not be able to watch their team play in the United States. For countries like Senegal and Ivory Coast, a new visa bond program adds another barrier. Citizens of Senegal, Ivory Coast, Algeria, Tunisia, and Cape Verde could be required to pay up to $15,000 in deposits just to be able to travel to the United States. That is not a ticket cost. That is a refundable security bond simply to enter the country. For most working-class fans in those nations, it is an insurmountable barrier. The Iran situation is the most explosive and has become the defining crisis of the entire tournament's buildup. The United States launched a military attack on Iran on February 28th. Over 3 months later, a fragile ceasefire exists, but peace talks remain deadlocked. Iran's sports minister stated that under no circumstances could the men's national team play in the World Cup, saying, "Our players do not have security, and fundamentally the conditions for participation do not exist." Iran's Football Federation raised concerns about player safety directly. Trump then posted on Truth Social that the Iranian national team was welcome to play, but that he did not believe it was appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. Iran fired back, saying no one can exclude them from the World Cup and that the United States should not be allowed to co-host the tournament if it cannot guarantee the safety of the teams taking part. Then, a close Trump ally made the situation worse. Paolo Zampoli, the U.S. Special Envoy for Global Partnerships, suggested to Trump directly that Italy should replace Iran in the tournament. Despite Zampoli claiming he had directly communicated the idea to Trump, the president was caught unaware by the proposal. Secretary of State Rubio told assembled media that the administration was not behind the suggestion, but said there could be complications for members of the Iranian delegation who are not players, including coaches and support staff. Italy's own sports officials were furious. Italian National Olympic Committee President Luciano Bonfiglio said he would feel offended by the proposal. Italy's sports minister said it was not appropriate, adding that you have to earn the right to go to the World Cup. The chaos surrounding one team's participation in the world's biggest sporting event is without historical parallel. FIFA has maintained throughout that Iran will participate as expected, and the Iranian government eventually confirmed its national team is preparing to travel. But the question of visas for non-player delegation members, coaches, trainers, team doctors, and support staff from a country the United States is still technically in conflict with remains unresolved. According to FIFA regulations, any team that withdraws faces financial penalties of between $448,000 and $897,000, depending on the date of withdrawal. The closest historical parallel anyone can find is when Yugoslavia was expelled from the 1992 European Championship just 10 days before it started due to civil war. Denmark, the runners-up in Yugoslavia's qualifying group, stepped in and won the tournament. No one is seriously proposing Denmark replace Iran in 2026. The ice question is one that has alarmed fans, civil rights advocates, and even some members of Congress. ICE Interim Director Todd Lyons stated that his agency will form a key part of the overall security apparatus for the World Cup. A New Jersey congresswoman introduced legislation specifically to prohibit ICE from conducting immigration operations at World Cup venues. She stated that when she directly asked Lyons for a simple assurance that ICE would stay away from the games, he refused. That refusal has amplified fears among immigrant communities and foreign fans alike. Experts note that cases of violence involving ICE in cities including Minneapolis, where people were shot dead by ICE personnel, have had a negative impact on those willing to attend the World Cup. The broader tourism picture provides essential context for understanding what is at stake economically. Canadian travel to the United States fell by close to 30% in 2025. Travel from Australia, India, and Western Europe has also shrunk. The United States was estimated to lose approximately $30 billion in international tourism in 2025 as travelers chose to go elsewhere. Industry leaders have described the situation as a Trump slump. Julia Simpson, president and CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, said the world's biggest travel and tourism economy is heading in the wrong direction, and that while other nations are rolling out the welcome mat, the United States government is putting up the closed sign. In Europe, boycott calls have been louder than at any World Cup since the politically charged tournaments of the Cold War era. A German poll found 47% of respondents support a boycott if Trump annexes Greenland. Over 150,000 people in the Netherlands signed a petition urging their national team to boycott. A UK Conservative MP suggested England, Scotland, and Wales should boycott to embarrass the US president. Mark Peath, a Swiss attorney and former chair of FIFA's Independent Governance Committee, advised fans to boycott the USA entirely. Major European sports ministers have had to publicly address whether their nations should participate. France's sports minister stated she believes in keeping sports separate, but was forced to address the question in the first place, which tells you everything about where the conversation is. On Facebook, a Boycott FIFA World Cup 2026 in USA group has more than 25,800 members. Discussions across social media platforms are replete with pledges to stay home. Individual stories have emerged that capture the atmosphere. A fan in England who attended tournaments in Brazil and Russia when tickets cost between $70 and $100 now faces face value prices that begin in the hundreds and soar into the thousands for knockout rounds. He is not going. He is watching at home. The White House has pushed back against all of this with characteristic confidence. White House spokesman Davis Ingalls stated that the FIFA 2026 World Cup will no doubt be one of the greatest and most spectacular events in the history of mankind, and that Trump is focused on ensuring it is not only an incredible experience for all fans and visitors, but also the safest and most secure in history. FIFA has maintained that ticket demand is unprecedented and that the tournament will be a massive success. Analysts suggest that knockout round matches, particularly the semifinals and final in New York, will likely sell out regardless of broader concerns because wealthy American fans and corporate clients will fill those seats. The concern is what happens in the group stage matches scheduled in Dallas, Kansas City, and Atlanta, in the empty hotel corridors, and in the economic projections that assumed tens of millions of international visitors who are now staying home. Trump wanted the World Cup to be his. He got the FIFA Peace Prize, he stood with the trophy in the Oval Office, he has talked about it as part of his legacy for 2 years, and now, 6 weeks before it begins, the country it is supposed to celebrate as a welcoming, global, triumphant host is at war with one of the participating teams, has banned the fans of 4 other qualified nations from entering, has a law enforcement agency that refuses to promise it will not conduct raids inside the stadiums, and is watching hotel rooms sit empty in cities that expected to be overwhelmed with visitors from around the world. The beautiful game arrives in America this summer. Whether the world shows up to watch it is the question that the next 6 weeks will answer.